Hello, I hope you are doing well. In 2019, I moved from Ghana to teach in Vietnam, and I can say that back then, not so many people from Ghana knew a lot about Vietnam. Probably today, not so many people know a lot about Vietnam, but I can confidently say that through my videos on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, a handful of people got to know about Vietnam, and they thought life in Vietnam was better than life in Ghana. So some people moved to Vietnam to teach and to do other businesses. Some had their life changing for the better. Unfortunately for us, they had their life changing for the worse. Barely 11 weeks ago, I moved from Vietnam to Indonesia, and I'm getting similar questions that I used to receive back in Vietnam. People are asking me, is life in Indonesia better than life in Vietnam? If this is the first time you are watching me, my name is David. I'm from Ghana. My friends and people call me Achabu. Scientifically, you can call me tetranicotinamide adenylonucleotide triisothioamine Achabu 3 acid. I've been teaching for the past 13 years in Ghana, Vietnam, and currently here in Jakarta, Indonesia. And in this video, I'm going to answer this question. Is life here in Jakarta, Indonesia better than life in Hanoi, Vietnam? This is what I'm going to talk about in this video. Let's get started. Let's begin with cost of living. First, rent. My rent here is around $900 for a 2-bedroom, 3-bathroom apartment. This is catered for by my current school, and I can say that for the same price, I can get something better in Vietnam, or for a cheaper price, I can get the same apartment and similar services back in Vietnam. I'm sure I'm sure I can get something around $600 to $700 for a similar apartment back in Hanoi, Vietnam. Maybe when I look very well here in Indonesia, Jakarta, Indonesia, I can get a cheaper price. But currently, this is what my school is paying for me. So this is what we are working with. If you look at utilities, I've paid about two bills, and I can say that the cost of utility, that is electricity and water here, is relatively expensive if you compare that to the cost of electricity and water in Vietnam. In fact, in the last apartment I lived in Vietnam, the water I was paying in the apartment, it was actually free. It came with the rent I used to pay back in Vietnam. And internet in Vietnam, I was having free internet. It was part of the apartment package, and I paid around $450, less than $500 back in Vietnam for a 2-bedroom apartment back in Vietnam. But here I pay around 500k IDR. I'll be doing the conversion on your screen for the internet we use in our apartment, for the Wi-Fi we use in our apartment, in addition to the rent we pay. And then I pay around 300k IDR for the water we use in the apartment every month. Comparatively, you can say that the cost of living here in Indonesia, Jakarta, Indonesia, is more than the cost of living in Hanoi, Vietnam, at least where I lived in Vietnam for almost 6 years. And if you look at eating out, if you go out to eat at these restaurants, the cost of food is relatively slightly expensive if you compare it to the cost of food in Vietnam. And in addition, when you go to these restaurants, you have to pay a 10% of whatever amount you spend for food in any restaurant, or most of the restaurants you visit here in Jakarta, Indonesia. So you can say, or I can say, that the cost of living here in Jakarta, Indonesia is slightly more expensive compared to the cost of living in Hanoi, Vietnam. So it's been established the cost of living here in Jakarta, Indonesia is relatively higher than the cost of living in Hanoi, Vietnam, at least in the places I lived in Vietnam for almost 6 years before coming here. But I can answer the question. The question was, is life here in Indonesia better than life in Hanoi, Vietnam? I can answer this question and say my life here in Indonesia is better than my life back in Hanoi, Vietnam. I think it is important. People need to understand that to answer this question, you need to individualize your answer. Remember, I said my life here in Indonesia is better than my life back in Hanoi, Vietnam. The benefits I'm receiving from my current school makes my life a bit easier, or relatively easier, compared to my life in Vietnam. That is not to downgrade other places I worked at in Vietnam. I really appreciate, and they know I appreciate them. But again, it is an individual situation, and it's the benefits I'm talking about here. The benefits I'm getting here, if I take my daughter, for instance, my daughter will get to go to school for free, that is tuition free, when she gets to the age of 3, and she gets tuition free till she completes high school. That is if I continue to remain here in my current school. And unfortunately, in Vietnam, this wasn't a benefit I was receiving back in all the schools I taught at. So that is one thing. And also, my salary and other benefits here is relatively higher compared to the benefits I was receiving in other schools back in Hanoi, Vietnam. In fact, I already made a video talking about why I moved to Indonesia. So you may want to check that video out. Check the video description below. So many people have made the mistake of not doing adequate research before moving to any country. Unfortunately, when the country has a name like any of these Western countries, people think when they go there, their life is going to be better. But you need to understand that for you to enjoy these benefits you think people are enjoying, you need to be able to provide something of value, and you need to identify people who really see the value you can provide, and they give you the opportunity to serve them, and you get these benefits you are looking for. Until you are able to establish this, going to anywhere to live your life is a very risky thing to do. And if you don't take your time, if you are not lucky, you might end up being miserable. And to me, cost of living is very important to me. And of course, I always compare the benefits I'm receiving and compare to the cost of living, how much I'll pay for all these expenses and how much I can save. For this reason, I am really not interested in teaching in any of these Western countries, at least at this current stage of my life. Unless maybe something huge comes my way and I realize that when I go to this country, I might be able to save more. That is, I might be able to save in line with the plans that I am projecting my life to be. You don't just travel because the country has a name or because there's a hype around that place. You really have to sit down, do a reflection, ask yourself, what value are you going to provide in wherever you are going? Have you identified someone or a company that values you and are willing to give you the opportunity for you to provide the services you intend to provide in order to get the benefits you dream of having? You need to really answer these questions before you make a move to any country. If not, you just end up regretting. There are so many people in these Western countries who are in a trap, but they just can't voice out because of several reasons. Just today, before making this video, I was having a chat with a friend who was living in Thailand and currently in Australia. He just sent a picture of cabbage, a sliced cabbage, to me, and he said that sliced, like you can see on the screen, is $13. Living in Thailand and buying this sized cabbage for $13, it's insane. You understand? He just moved there, so probably we'll just stay put and then he will just stay put and then decide if the place is a very good place for him. But again, like I mentioned, if you want to move to anywhere, you really have to sit down and then do a reflection and then ask yourself these questions. What services are you going to provide? Have you identified any employer or anyone who is willing to give you the opportunity for you to provide your services? Are you going to get the necessary visas for you to stay? Are you going to save enough? Until you are able to answer these questions, please don't make any move blindly. I hope you found value in this video. If you did, I would appreciate you like, and then just let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And if you have not subscribed yet, I would appreciate you subscribe to this channel and you hit the notification bell so that whenever I upload any content, you'll be notified. I really would want to know your opinions and thoughts in the comment section. So please leave your thoughts. If you have any question, just drop it there, and hopefully I'll be answering them in my subsequent videos. Until my next video, you take care and don't travel blindly.